Hi, I thought we'd have a look at some of my magazine collection. Now, I don't like most modern model train magazines for the simple reason that they are basically just catalogs. They don't really do anything except sell products to appease their advertisers. And because there's so much available today, they're very much like showcasing for models available on the market. Now, I prefer magazines from the 60s, 70s, and 80s and into the early 90s that encourage things like scratch building, detailing, kit bashing, because there wasn't as many models available off the shelf. And there's an element of creativity about these magazines that is missing from the modern ones. And I thought we'd have a look at some of the ones in my collection, well, maybe a lot of them, and start with this one. Now, this was Model Trains, which was originally the Airfix magazine. Now, when Airfix moved into the model train market, not the kits of model trains, but actually model train rolling stock in double O scale that started running, that you could build, running your like as a competitor to Hornby and so on. The Airfix magazine turned its attention away so much from model kits known that they were known for, such as airplanes and things like that, and towards model railways. And this was pivotal due to the editor, who was a guy called Chris Ellis. Now, he's one of the unsung heroes of the hobby. And this magazine, simple, black and white, and I have so many of them in its different incarnations. When Airfix pulled out, it became scale model trains, and then later Model Trains International. And it was mostly a black and white magazine, and it was filled with articles right through to its three incarnations. I think it still exists. And it was always about just getting building things, get a small layout. They were pushing the idea of the micro layout or the small layout long before anyone. The concept of British HO was very, very big in this magazine, and they showed models you could kit bash or improve and so on. So we're going to look at the February 1980 issue of this Model Trains magazines, when it was still in the Airfix family. And it says on the cover we have an American 4, I think it's a 4, is it a 4? No, it's a 262, Tuskegee steam locomotive, and it says in this issue, branch lines and short lines, BR 4460, SO Remembrance Class conversion, track plans, reviews, and much more. And this was the purpose of the magazine, and it stayed this way over the decades. It didn't, even though it was published in the UK, it covered modelling from all over the world, and it constantly encouraged people to build layouts that could be adapted for multiple railway companies and countries, which is what I've always done. So you build a layout that you try to keep the buildings in it that you could run American rolling stock, British rolling stock, European rolling stock, and it wouldn't look out of place. Now, so we'll look at this February 1980 edition, and the first thing we see is an ad for GMR, Great Model Trains. Now, this was when Airfix got out of the model train business. GMR started marketing them, and they marketed. Now, Airfix made some beautiful models for the time. They really gave Hornby a kick up the backside by producing much better models in terms of detail and everything else. They had problems, some of them, with motors, but Airfix brought its skill as a plastic injections company into the model train industry, and they produced some superb models which are still outstanding by today's standards, in particular the British Rail Mark II air-conditioned coaches, which are still, outstanding by any concept. So then you have the masthead. It says Model Trains, editor Chris Ellis and the other people involved, and a look at the contents and so on. So immediately you can see there's quite a lot of things in it. We have a British thing, a general industry, American short lines, N scale, making the turntable work, the Airfix model. Um, More than an oval, a simple layout that you can expand, a German layout, and converting an oil tanker to a milk tanker, and also the other things involved. So that's what was so nice about it. It was very eclectic and very open-minded, and encouraged people to not get stuck in just modelling the railways and models of your country, but get out there and open up your modelling horizons. So the next page has an ad for Rail Mail of Watford, which is probably a big supplier at the time of model trains, and Mainline, another rival to Hornby and Airfix, that produce some beautiful models, particularly their coaches. And I have quite a few Mainline models myself to this day, and they were this late 70s, early 80s was a huge leap forward in British model trains in 00 scale. Suddenly Hornby, who had been sitting on its laurels for decades from its Triang years, were faced with competitors who were actually building superior models and selling them at about the same price, which is kind of like a mentality that Hornby has maintained to this day. Here we have an ad for Fleischmann and their N gauge or N scale Profitrack and their range for 1980. We have the editorial with a picture of a BR Class 4, very nice there, and below that a German 062 tank and in narrow gauge, and it talks about how you can buy the Liliput model to actually model this. The first article proper is the SR Southern Railway England Remembrance Class 460. John East combines a Hornby 460 chassis with Airfix kit parts, the plastic kits you could buy, to make a handsome replica of the N15X class, kit bashing, but not for the faint-hearted. And this is what the magazine, often they didn't have intense model building like this, but this is typical of what was in there. You know, kit bashing, building, like 9 drawings to help you, how to do it, and this kind of thing, and how to the larger than life view shows the modified Hornby Hall chassis with the new bogie cylinders and valve gear. So this is for this magazine, this was a fairly expert level kit bash, but that's how it was back then. There was better skill sets in general for doing this kind of thing because you had no choice. The next article is how to build a cement terminal. Now this could be applied for railways all over the world. In this case it's a British type, and there is the hopper, the blue circle cement hopper made by Airfix, and it's painted blue, and here they are, and it looks like proprietary kits, or maybe they're kit bash, with corrugated sheeting. Cement traffic can be a big business on your layout. Find a siding where you can install this compact but impressive depot, or make it now for use on a future layout. You see, that's a great line there. If you don't have a layout now, this is what the magazine was about. Get building, get doing things. Don't be, drooling over catalogs. Get out there and do it. And again, line drawings, how to do it. For this is the N scale. No, for N scale, full size for N scale, double the drawing size for HO00 scale. The depot drawing, how to scratch build it, and the materials you need. Now, this may seem obvious to Americans, but this is very exotic to people in this part of the world. Short lines and branch lines, the American type modeling. Chris Ellis shows how the typical American small line can make an ideal subject for a limited space layout in either the steam or diesel eras. And here's the track plan. Now, at the time, many people would have thought that American modeling trains would have been huge affairs, mile-long freights with like multiple diesel lash-ups. But here we have a magazine saying and introducing people to the whole idea that you can have short line, small American layouts and model trains. And it gives you some ideas of things you can do. The 44 GE center cab diesel, which I think at that time was only available in 1980 as a white metal Kitbash kit, which I actually have. And then it shows you the Strasbourg Railroad with the Plymouth diesel and the whole sort of Americana of the way the track looks and things like this. It was just to open your horizons, and this was a piece on road vehicles, mostly in 00, that most of them back then would have been white metal kits. British rail speed signs, how to easily model them, different types, and then a continuation of the article spillover on the white metal kit for a Dennis fire engine, which was a British fire engine in 00. Build it in N scale, and it shows you a simple layout here, quite small. Each square measures 12 inches, so 1, 2, 3 feet. So 3 feet by 2 feet, you have quite a complex layout in it. And the idea of this basic set was you could make it German, you could make it British, you could make it American. You had track on the table. And here we go, and it shows you the basic multiple, like this oil depot, typical of everything, how to do the scenery, how to paint the mountains, how to do the track. It looks like they've used Fleischmann Profi track here. Everything in the magazine was about building. And here we go, how the layout could be based on 3 different prototypes from around the world. An American one, based out of Chicago for a Chicago and Northwestern commuter service. Scotland, coming from Fort William to Malik. German, from Bad Homburg to Frederiksdorp, and again a German branch line, a Scottish branch line, and an American branch line. And here we have some photographs to inspire you on the kind of locomotives at the time you could buy and use. So it could be the one. You build this N scale layout, and you have a choice of 3 different prototypes from around the world. So you're not stuck. And this is how to make the Airfix, 00 British turntable motorized, and they used an all Mehano kit here to do it. Again, lots of creativity, bookshelves on American, British, worldwide, and the art of model making, vintage lorry manual, and then fitting out a class 4. Just a few extra details can further enhance the mainline model 460. There's a scale drawing. That doesn't look like, that looks like it's HO. I think it is. Maybe it isn't. But here we have the different details. You can add brake pipes, a bit of weathering, make the coal load more realistic in the tender, this kind of thing. More than an oval, Ralph Loughton embarks on a project to fit a compact 00 HO light. You see, they were always looking at multiple prototypes into a 3rd bedroom of a small house. It could be the answer to your space problems. First, the mainline baseboard is planned and built, and so it shows like a dog bone type layout with a switching one in the middle. So you have the best of both worlds. You can run your trains and watch them go around, and you can do switching or shunting. Look at that classic 1970s wallpaper, hilarious. But and it's showing how the baseboard is built in his garden, this kind of thing. And then it gives you ideas. There it is, finished on the list. That wallpaper is incredible. And then it shows you the kind of prototype operations you can run, how to put the points or switches on. Now, Waldenburg-Bahn, basis for a layout. Michael Adress visited the Swiss narrow gauge line and examines the modelling potential for a classic from the steam age. So a Swiss tramway line in the meter gauge. You get everything in this magazine. This is what was so wonderful about it. It was page after page of knowledge and inspiration. Like you'd read a magazine that was devoted to British railways, like Railway Modeler. You'd never learn this stuff if you watch. By buying this magazine, a whole vista was open to you, and you got ideas. I quite like this engine shed. It looks like a combination of office and engine shed. I really like that idea with the Volkswagen Beetle outside it. From oil tanker to milk tanker, one of the most attractive special traffic vehicles in Speed British Railways now is of the milk tanker, using Airfix fuel tankers as a basis of a 6-wheel milk tank wagon and easy conversion. This is right up my friend Colin in England. It's right up his street. He's big into these kind of conversions. And there it is, the Airfix SO petroleum tank into a United Dairies milk tank. The best connection, Ralph Loughton continues a series on electric wiring from first principles, looking at turnouts to how to use them for electrical operation. Now, this is for beginner stuff, learning about how turnouts work. Not everybody learned electronics in school and things like that, so there are people who these kind of articles would have been invaluable for them. How the passing switch doesn't burn out the motor. These were things that were like very important to learn when you're getting in the hobby, and that kind of thing. How solenoids work and so on. How the 16-volt AC is run to the coil from the transformer. You know, we look at this stuff, I think it's in this day and age of DCC, which I don't run, but look, these things were a big deal. I have some of these Fleischmann turnouts, they're brilliant. And there's the different kinds of switches you could use, and there's a continuation of the oil tanker article, and it running in prototype form. And then reviews of, you know, the Roco BR1110 electric locomotive, a hut, a model, some signals, some Burlington Northern coal type wagons, gondolas, and then I love these. I have a couple of these. The Deutsche Reichsbahn East German coaches. I like these because they're at 244 millimeters. They're actually short, but they're still prototype length, so they don't have an overhang on the tight curves. There you have an intermodal freight thing, a piggyback hopper, and another Fleischmann van in N scale, a Santa Fe tractor trailer, a Western Hero class model, that fabulous looking British engine, and then you have the Hornby Class A4, again, different things you can do to upgrade them, reviews and stuff like that. The reviews often said things like, with a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you can change it. Liliput, Bavarian S3/6 class backslash clickstars. Some ads for companies that are all long gone now, I'm sure, shops and everything. And the Airfix multiple train control. This was a mistake that Airfix made. They tried to make their own version of a digital set. I think it was a complete flop for them. They should have just, this is what was happening a lot with model trains companies, is they expand too much. Just make trains. Well, the reason why Pico exists to this day is they just basically make track. You know, they're getting into this as like some hotshot thing that often wrecks companies. Some more ads, Keybri, companies around the UK that are probably long gone, soldering iron, mighty midgets, I like that. And then Beatty's, which was a famous model shop all over England, and I remember one on Oxford Street in London, I think. Central, High Holborn, Lewisham, amazing, all gone now. And Shinohara Track, which is actually rubbish. Their flex trap is garbage. It's like the points and the switches are great, but their flexi track was rubbish. My first layout in the room there was built with that, and it was awful track. And then good old homebrew paints and the crests of the pre-grouping British Railways companies. Lancashire and Yorkshire, Southeastern, lovely crest too. And memories are made of homebrew, the world's finest range of authentic colours for the modeler. So there you go. Airfix model trains, February 1980, by Chris Ellis, the editor, and I'll be looking at some more of these. But that was the magazines I read as a kid, and I'm glad I did, because they made me realise this hobby is about just having fun and not being specifically wired into one prototype, and to broaden your horizons and to build layouts that you can run anything on. There you go.